right, I think we are here. So, we are testing out Dehumaniser from Krotos Audio. It's basically a real-time vocal processor that makes you dehuman in several different ways. So that's just a simple Angry Beast preset that it just comes with. It's cool because it comes with a lot of just different presets just initially that you can, get started with.
Yeah, you just went from sounding like you to a sinister beast of sorts out of nowhere.
Well, I have Dehumanizer on now. I'm going to turn it off and talk to you. I mean, now I do not have it on. Anyways, I mean, it can look a little weird when you're just looking at it initially, though. But it's really not that bad of a situation once you kind of dive into it a little bit. So, yeah, man. So first off, you already heard like this Angry Beast preset, which is pretty much the one it comes up with right away when you open up the plugin, and you just use it on an audio track, or there's other ways you could route it too if you're trying to get silly with it. But for the sake of ease, I just have it on an audio track, and you can absolutely record yourself doing something. For instance, I'm going to bypass it right now. This is me recording Dehumanizer test dry voice. And so then if I play back with it unbypassed, it's just going to... Which, could be a cool layer for something. I mean, by itself, it can be a little hard to understand, but for a layer or, something happening in your screen on your movie or in your game or something like that, I mean, it's totally usable for a creature in the dark or something like that.
And that one was a pretty extreme preset too, as far as what they have.
Yeah, super, super extreme. Like, I'm just going to load up another preset from this music one. And then this guy right here. This is pretty extreme too, but, it's a little different.
Hey, this is an alien invasion and you are all going to be alienized.
So that's pretty cool. And then once again, if you have your track recorded that you just want to, hear what it sounds like with stuff, you can just turn it on and run it.
This is me recording Dehumanizer test dry voice.
And so you can swap through your presets pretty easily that way. And a good reason to do that is because it is pretty heavy and processor intensive. So as you can see down here in Pro Tools, I mean, on other DAWs it's different, I'm sure. You can see that it's 4,977 samples of latency, so you're hearing it that late. And it seems that for all the different presets or how many different nodes you have on here will have different amount of latency that you have on there.
It's upping the amount of processing. It's just having to do more heavy lifting the more you add.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, so that's one reason to kind of record something, and then you can swap through presets or you can build your own as you go along, So, for instance, let's see here. Let's go here. I'm just going to go to another preset here. So this guy right here is much different of a sound. It's a little bit less of the processing. It's still got some stuff going on. These pitch shifting ones is a lot of the heavy lifting that goes on. And then that kind of brings me to the point of everything is super editable in multiple different ways. If you just click on the plugin, it brings up, or the node, if it brings up the different options you have for it. Plus it gives you a parametric EQ per node. And then just clicking on this guy gives you some simple, easy to reach, just quick adjustments. Other nodes have more processing down here as you go along. This is two different pitch shifters. This one's got, some extra EQ going on at the high end here. The EQ sound pretty sweet actually. And then there's a limiter built in for each one also, so you can make sure you don't, go crazy on the way out. And
the parametric EQ plus limiter, and then it has just some of the basic options right on the node itself.
Yeah, and so it makes it pretty easy to kind of navigate it and get around. And then it even shows you right here on the master output here how much latency that is. Oh, that's cool. It even shows you how long it's going to take you for it to actually happen.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. And so on this output section, you've got a limiter also, so you can make sure you're not slamming your output or using it as an effect however you want. And it's cool, too, because they have, you can do your crazy EQ or whatever you got going on. And then it's got a really quick, fast set to 0 mode. So you can just, boom, back to 0. So...
I'm noticing it. You can just take the wetness right out of it if you want to. If you want less saturation and have your voice come through right on your master output.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's very cool actually. And then so I'm gonna run this one. This is like a high pitched sound. So I've noticed also it could be different for different DAWs, but so if you're messing around in here and doing whatever you're doing, and you hit go on Pro Tools on spacebar, it doesn't go until you actually click into Pro Tools and then hit go. So that's useful if you need that.
that is a bit of a mouse cat,
yes.
I think.
So let's hear what it sounds like when we control and mix dry that with that.
Recording Dehumanizer test dry voice.
So that's pretty silly.
I don't know what you would ever use that for, but it's there.
Well, if you need that, it's there for you to use.
If you want it, it's available.
Absolutely. So this is kind of a cool one too. I'm just going to kind of go to another preset here. So let's see here. Let's see what this guy does for us. So yeah, if you need some tigers yelling at you, that's the way to do it. And then it's got a sample tiger 1 and 2. So if you click on it here, it brings up the sample that it's using to actually do that, and it looks like it's doing it for the same one for both. And then it has an adjustment here to go one way or the other, and I think you can just listen to it, what it's going to sound like.
Wow. Without even looking at what the title of the preset was when you're demoing that, I could just tell it was a tiger right away.
Yeah, I mean, these Krotos guys have a lot of really great sound packs, which kind of brings up the cool thing with this, how it's getting this tiger stuff. You can see right here, it says Bengal tiger, aggressive, intermediate grunt. Excuse me. And then if you click on here, here's all sorts of different sounds that you can grab, and it has that processing in there that it's cool as a layer, as a texture for something. I mean, it's not going to be like if you're talking through it, you're going to talk like you're a tiger or something like that. But it's a really, really cool color and texture that allows you to go through. So it kind of brings me to this other point here. I'm just going to load a fresh patch. This convolution. So this is what it looks like when you straight up just start a fresh patch. And so if you were to just listen to this.
Hello, I am Dehumanizer. I have nothing happening. I sound normal.
So basically you got it's kind of like if you think of like a guitar pedal, a guitar setup, you got your input right here, and then just, then you put all your nodes and stuff right here in the middle, and it goes through. So this would be like your amp if you're, for a guitar player. And then here's your different nodes up here, and then you can see that for each node, like you can put 2 ring modulators because you got the 2 guys right there, and you go meow, meow, and so now you have 2 of those going on, and then you can have 2 of these, 2 of each of those, and so you're not going to hear one noise generator, and so I could put all this stuff in here, which I'm going to do because we're having fun.
Yeah, you can have a heck of a time connecting all those, but it's impressive to see it nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. So you bring up a good point about the connection. So
still going through, still nothing.
It's because none of them are connected. So here we go, starting fresh again. So that brings up the point here. If I'm just going to bring in this, actually. So if you right click on the node, you can delete it. So that's, kind of a cool, easy thing. So I was talking about this scrubbing convolution with those other samples. So I'm going to take this output. So you just click on it and you literally just connect the dots. Boom. This probably still doesn't this might have that elven sound because I think the elven sounds yeah. So this is, like I say, good for a texture. So it's good for a texture, but you can bring in your own files. So which is kind of cool. So like I have a file of somebody screaming. And so it's right here. And so that's actually a file of a singer screaming. So you can add that texture of his voice to something. And so that's kind of cool to go along with it. But this is one of the convolution ones to analyze that track in real time like that. You're up to, over 4,000 samples of latency again, which, if you have stuff recorded and you run it through, you can move things back and to go up with your game, your picture, whatever you need it to go up with. And then you got your EQ and stuff once again. So if it sounds a little airy or whatever. And so that was literally me going,
Yeah, modified it quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool.
So you can put pretty much any old wave inside of that. Is that right? Or
yeah, it just works off of wave files. Like for instance, here's all the stuff that comes with the program. There might be some extra sound packs in here. But yeah, I mean, it comes with a lot of stuff, and but this is good for texture stuff. So here's our leopard again. And so, and then you have an envelope you can set for how loud you set it to how it triggers and where it goes. So that's kind of cool. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a good texture thing to add along with something that you got going on.
Yeah, it's a nice little. You could do some custom things. You could really dial it into something maybe nobody's really even thought of. So, kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just kind of scratching the surface with the whole thing. And then I wanted to bring up this preset here. Sounds like a space alien taking over the space station or something. But the reason why I wanted to bring this one up in particular, it's got a couple of the granule things going on, some pitch shifting, some flanging and all that kind of stuff. But you can see there's almost 10,000 samples of latency for this. So, that's a lot. It's... But, it does sound cool, especially if you got it with the texture of something else.
Yeah, I think it's an important thing to note so that when you are recording with this plugin, make sure you move your wave file if you need to after you record or whatever to make sure it syncs up.
Right, or make sure, you got your delay compensation all working for you, and however you need to make it work for you. Just know that it's happening, so whatever you need to do from there, just know that it's happening for you.
And this setup right here also shows you how it can run in parallel and in series.
Yeah.
So you can combo it up however you really like to.
Yeah, exactly. So here, I'll show you an example of that. So I'm just going to do something simple here. I'm just going to take this pitch shifter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm just pitch shifting, baby. Oh, yeah.
So that's just going in right through the pitch shifter and then right out. So on here, you got your track input, and you can go up to 8 inputs for this. So you can set that out to 8 separate areas just directly from your input, and then you can see down here it's got outputs. You're basically a little mixer going on for all your input section. So if you want to run this in parallel, you can just take like this output 2, run it directly to the output.
Now you have a mix,
and you can mix the completely dry with the pitch shifted one and everything. You can just kind of keep going along.
Which is really super cool, because then you can...
Awesome.
Yeah, you can throw a lot of different things in the way of this that just pitches your normal voice. And then along with that, you can get your signal even crazier by adding... I believe you can do up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 for each node, too. And then you have a mixer going on here representing your outputs going to there. So these can run out, so you can have... you can go into another pitch shifter. So you have the one pitch shift going into another pitch shifter. So there's a lot of pitch shifting going on.
Hey, yeah. 1, 2. Hey, 1, 2. 1, 2. Yes.
And then you can, each node has a bypass, a mute, and a solo. So if I were to mute it, signal's not going to pass through. Hey. Hey, you're only hearing me because you're hearing not the signal mic. But you're
won't even go to the output at that point, right?
Correct. And then you can hit bypass. Hey. So now it's bypassing. It's bypassing this, but it's going down. It's bypassing this effect and going down and hitting this, and it's hitting my clean voice. So if I hit solo, you're hearing this whole thing happen. And my clean voice, because I want you to understand what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, you're at minus 8.3 dB on that input out initially, so it's giving you a little of your voice as it tracks through there.
Right. And so it's just good to know. So if you have like a big patch set up, like I'm just going to take something random here. Here's that big one again. You can solo that up and hear what just that's doing, or you can bypass that. So you're bypassing this granular and just kind of going down the line. So it's just know the difference between the bypass and mute, because if you mute it here, the signal stops. Bypass will go through this like nothing is happening. And you got that in your little mixer here too as you go along. If you're on your input here. And so it's just keep that in mind if you want to hear what one thing is doing, Hey now.
Yeah, but it's very cool for if you're really setting up your own customization. You can just kind of isolate everything as needed, cut something out, bypass it, maybe leave it there for later,
Right.
Whatever you want to do.
And then here is a patch that I made that's just completely my own scenario. So I've got some things going. So this is the input going to a pitch shifter going straight out, and then this pitch shifter is hitting this chorus and then going out, but I also have my clean voice hitting this chorus going out also. Then I have another clean voice hitting this noise generator that just goes, then that goes straight out, and then I have another clean voice hitting this vocoder and then going straight out. So right here is kind of where the cool thing happens, where the clean hits the flanger and also the pitch shift hits the flanger and goes out.
And you also, it looks like you already kind of mixed them the way that you want to mix together too, coming off the input.
Yeah, input, and then like this guy has got a little different. I mean, there's a million different ways you can do it.
There's gotcha.
And so yeah, it's all kind of, so I have them down some of my flangered or some of my pitch shifted voices a little bit lower in the flanger than my clean voice that's in the flanger, but they're both down a little bit so it just doesn't get overloaded, and then the flanger is just full bore, just going, and it sounds like this.
Hey, yeah, oh yeah, we are dehumanized. You have been dehumanized.
And this patch is just over 2,000 samples of latency, so not horrible, but it just, I don't know, I just like to keep an eye on that kind of thing to know what's happening and where I need to go. And so if I need to move files around or make copies of files or whatever, just, or if you're like stacking two different ones together or something like that, it's just good to know what's happening with it.
Right, because you could potentially have some sort of phasing issues if you got things slightly askew on top of each other, depending on how you're doing it.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, that's, this, the Krotos guys have a lot of really cool stuff, and this is just kind of like,
awesome.
Just kind of the beginning of this. And so it's not a scary. When I was first looking at it, I was like, "What is going on with this thing?" And just watching, their trailers and stuff like that, seeing all these crazy lines going over the place. I thought it was way crazier than it really is, but it's really a really clean setup. I think it's things go in, things go out, and stuff happens in between. And then you adjust the volume and you adjust to how much of stuff you want to go. And it's pretty clean, and it's really, really cool that they just give you so many presets to work with and just start from, and then it gives you an idea, and you can kind of reverse engineer it and just kind of see what they do, and gives you ideas on like what it is. Like I'm choosing just a random one here. I have no idea what this sounds like. Well, it sounds like that. And so it sounds like a robot dying, or it's called Robot on Fire. So, I mean, pretty accurate.
Well, there you go.
Pretty accurate.
That's pretty funny. You can kind of tell a little bit what it is, even if you don't, know what what you clicked on, or if you're just clicking around.
Yeah, for sound design purposes, I mean, there's a lot of textures and stuff you can get going on with it. So, I mean, it's really, really sweet. It's pretty powerful.
And I want to say this may be for some obscure people out there, but the node and the way you draw those lines looks a lot like Unreal Engine blueprints, how they connect the dots in there. So anybody that's doing kind of sound design in there is going to be really familiar with how this setup works, like where you're intertwining things together. So it feels a little bit like that. But anyway, that system just works fantastic in my opinion. So it's really cool to see it in like a plugin like this. So
yeah, it seems to make a lot of sense. I mean, it just, goes from left to right, and it's track input. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Stuff happening, track output, and so, when you fresh
follow the
white straight line, and so when you just start it, that's pretty simple, and then things happen, so then you just like click to undo it and then just connect it, and then now
more things have happened.
Yes, now I am in flangered chorus land. And just a clean voice, and you got all your different modulations, and I'm 100% wet. So if I wanted to put that in a parallel situation there now, and you can do
a lot of that through your DAW too. You could probably, you could hook it up as like as an effect send return scenario if you wanted to, for some kind of crazy scenario like that. What I like to do also, it's going to be different for different DAWs, of course. So let's just say I love the way this sounds. This is what I want. This is the sound that I want. So here's my track.
This is me recording Dehumanizer test dry voice.
Amazing. That's great. That's award-winning. We love it.
Beautiful. It's the best take ever.
It's the best. So you can literally go, and like I said, there's probably different ways to do it in different DAWs. I can only speak for this how it works with Pro Tools. Right-click on it. You can commit up to this insert. Let it do its thing. Rendering, Dehumanizer.
Rendering.
And then now you have a fresh, clean track here with your Dehumanizer plugin. So here it is right here. So I'm going to solo it.
This is me recording Dehumanizer test dry voice.
So now you have it, rendered to the track instead of having to run the plugin for it to do its thing. And so you have them on top of each other. So if you're to play them together.
This is me.
And so, I guess what you could do in another scenario is, let's see here, another scenario of doing the same type of thing, like right here. See, I have the dry going through the wet here. Let me just disconnect that.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. Yeah,
I'm sure you do. And so then I'm just going to get rid of that. So now this is 100% wet right here. So I'm going to just get rid of this. I'm just going to put this track over here. And I'm just going to deactivate it just so it's not happening. So now this is this.
This is me recording Dehumanizer.
So on and so on and so on. So that's 100% wet. You commit this, let it do its thing, blah, 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 blah. And so now what you have is 100% wet and 100% dry. So if you wanted to, you can, inactivate Dehumanizer so you're not getting any samples of, if you completely deactivate it, you're not going to get the latency. This one's not going to have any latency. It's not doing anything. But yeah, now you have 100% dry, 100% wet, and you can do
this
here.
Is me recording Dehumanizer test dry voice.
So you can basically have it printed out, and then you can just mix it after the fact instead of inside of the plugin. You can just kind of play with it from there with multiple tracks.
Yeah, so if you have like this huge thing going on and you want to kind of commit to it, you can kind of stem it out different ways later, instead of just committing to how it is right then and there. For a bigger patch, you can go crazy with it.
Which is basically just an extra pro tip on, how options for how you can use this tool.
Yeah, it's an option. It's not. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it. I'm not saying it's a wrong way to do it. It's just a way to do it. And just then it gives. So if you're running out of processing power or other issues, or you just need to or stem it up a little bit, or just however, and then it gives you options to like mix it later when you're just kind of doing other things. So if you want to turn off the plugin, it's just another scenario, another option. It's
right. Some I noticed too is also that you can also have multiple outputs on each node also, so that you kind of demoed that earlier, but it looks like you can just keep multiplying them. Same, kind of the same thing you did with the inputs. You can just carry a whole bunch of things off each one of those.
Yeah, but if I come out of here and do this, both of these outputs are gonna, it's not even let me go to the output without putting something in the way.
Has to go through something else. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So let me just put a vocoder there for fun. So it would let me do it without, it won't let me do it without putting something in the way there, which is kind of an interesting thing. So I'll move this out of the way.
This is me recording Dehumanizer test drive.
so on and so on and so on.
So on and so on. Yeah, very cool.
And then you can, mix how much of the flange you want, or the dry flange, or or because this flange is going into this vocoder right there. So if, I can get this going one more time. So once again, here's that other scenario, doing it like that, so you can have a totally dry one to mix in with it also.
Awesome.
So I don't know, that's just kind of the surface of many things that this thing can do. And so, if we're beasts or crazy other stuff, it's there for you. It will do it.
And it seems like we're kind of also showing like in-depth things that you could do with it. But really, one thing that's cool about it is if you wanted to record something fast, you could just hit it, record it. All of a sudden, you got some crazy effect on a monster, even if it's just a placeholder or whatever.
Right. And then, yeah. And some of it, you don't even have to record dialogue. You just make sound and it roars and growls for you, which is cool. So,
yeah, you could use it for just effect assets or anything, not even VO stuff or whatever. You could just use it for all kinds of different things.
For sure. So, yeah, it's cool. I'm going to keep digging deeper into it. I feel like I've just kind of like have got the just scratching the tip, but it's deeper and deeper and deeper, and I'm learning more about it as I go along. And then just, I'm going to continue to try to use it for things. I'm going to create some beasts and just kind of make more stuff with it. And, if anybody else has any other cool tips, I would love to hear them. And anybody got some cool presets, send them over or whatever, because you can do a lot of stuff with it. So that's all I got for now, anyways.
Very cool, man. Awesome.
Right on. Well, I'm John. That's Chad. And we're Hidden Level Audio. We like to do sound design stuff. So yeah, let us know what you guys think about Krotos Dehumanizer. Thank you to the guys at Krotos for letting us check this out. And we look forward to using more of their stuff and talking about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, guys.